Hello everybody, Demonr here, and I'm doing a very different type of video today. I have been teasing the idea recently of reviewing a couple of the drivers in the DGT races. Now, I'm not picking on anybody, but for example, I have given assistance to a lot of the drivers on the grid, and I've been more than happy to do so, and I'm still more than happy to do so. So drivers that I felt could benefit from some advice, I have spent the time doing one-to-ones with. And I mean, three of the main ones have been fluffyplanet, Formula Gary, Rich Blues, but I'm open to any of the drivers if they want help. That's one of the reasons why I've done guide videos in the past. So one of the things I've been teasing with recently is to review how some of these guys have been getting on, and I've been given permission by fluffyplanet to review how his race has gone. Now, Fluffy is bonkers, he's mental, alright? He's mates with Groover, that proves he's mental. But he's a driver that when he joined DGT was extremely quick, but unfortunately would be involved in a lot of incidents. So I'm interested to see how he's been getting on. Obviously I've seen sort of bits of how he's been getting on from doing commentary, but I've not been able to see, I've never sat down and watched his whole race, so I'm interested to see if his racing style has altered at all and see what happens. So that's what I'm going to do here. This is the footage from the DGT GR3EVO Cup Race 5. So I am going to have a look at that. I'm just going to get my YouTube on and turn the volume down, so bear with me a sec. Don't worry, Mando. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about what he does with his car, not what he does with his brakes. But we'll see how he gets on. Yeah, so I'm going to have a look. And like I say, it's more about where he positions his car and stuff like that. So, starting 9th. Traction control on. Now, has he got it on just for the start? I mean, if he has it on for the race, that's entirely up to him. Avoids Gary just. Now he's behind Groover. Okay, going very cautious here, making sure he doesn't hit anyone. He's got a nice bit of space around him. Now, that's where previously he would have been right up Groover's chuff. Now, okay, yeah, he's lost places, but it's a 40-minute race. There's plenty of time. Now these corners are near enough flat out, but he is going cautiously. I'm liking this. He's very aware of what's around him. I say that, watch him pump someone now. Oh yeah, he's giving plenty of room. Nice. So yes, he'd lost places, but what can he do now? He's going to get boxed in here. He's realised it, that's why he's lifted. Nice, so far. Oh, there's Demonr. Look at that knobhead. Obviously he wants a Twix. Okay, now the uphill corner, the tricky one. Nice and tidy. Nice and tidy. Horrible braking point. And again, he's keeping himself well out of trouble here. He's going to gain some places. Oh, that's unlucky. Oh! That's unlucky for Lewis, but... Okay, Fluffy is driving calm. I'm liking it. He's not out of control. Oh, that car was. That was lucky. Got through the ghosted car. But yeah, he's driving. He's in control. I'm liking this. It's not erratic. Well, that might change as we go on. Okay, so now he's coming under a bit of pressure. What's he going to do? Sees Mandalorian, so he moves over a bit. He's going into the space. perfectly controlled and leaving space. I'm liking this, Fluffy. And now, okay, it's taken a lap, but he's back to where he started and he's not been involved in a single incident. I'm liking this. That's good awareness, that is. You know, let me just go back to... Let me go back a little. That is really good awareness, right? Because Bunsel goes to attack Steve F1, but obviously Fluffy is looking at attacking Bunsel. So at this point, Fluffy's thinking, okay, I've got the room ahead of me, and this is one thing I do like, right? Where he's positioned, he knows that he can hit the brakes and he shouldn't be anywhere near hitting a car ahead. But as this progresses, even at this point, he's still got the space. Now Bunsel's coming across. And at this point, I'd say Fluffy spotted it. Because it'd be very easy for Fluffy and Bunsel to come together here. But proof that Fluffy spotted it is the fact that he's left, look at the room, he's left there. Now, okay, Bunsel is behind him at this point, but while you're driving around a corner, it's not easy to look at your radar. But that for me is brilliant awareness from Fluffy. Well done. Okay, so this time he is coming through here much quicker. He's lifting off. He's not lifting where I personally would lift, but he's lifting enough to look after his tyres. Now he's looking up the inside of Groover, but even then, you know what, Fluffy, this is beautiful, mate. In previous championships, Fluffy would have been going for an overtake here. And you might think, well, why hasn't he? Well, I'll tell you why. At this point here, this is where Fluffy would have previously gone, I've got space in front of me, I'm going into that space all the way up to the back of Demonr. The problem is, by doing that, look how far behind he is of Steve F1. So Groover, that overtake may be on. The one on Steve F1 is not on. Even though he's got room in front of him, that overtake on Steve F1 isn't on. And because Fluffy hasn't gone into that space, Groover, who, bit of a risky move on Steve F1, but Groover has the space to do it, and if it ends in disaster, it's not going to hurt Fluffy, hopefully. So that there's brilliant, because now, had Fluffy gone into that space up to the back of Demonr, he would have been squeezed by Groover and potentially by Steve, because Steve would not have known that Fluffy would have been there. This again, this is brilliant awareness. And because of that, now he's got a decent run here. He may be able to get past Groover if he slots into Steve's slipstream, which he's doing. Obviously Groover's got the slipstream, so this is going to get a little tricky. Okay, this is going to potentially get a little bit tricky, because looking at this now, right, Demonr, formerly Gary, they're side by side. Steve F1 could risk going for the move on Demonr, but if he does, that could end badly. It's too tight a line to try and take into that corner. So for Fluffy here, if I was in Fluffy's position, I wouldn't even be thinking about attempting to overtake Groover. Not because I don't want to overtake Groover, it's because the three cars in front of us, that could end badly. Right? If Steve goes for the move, it could end badly. If Steve doesn't go for the move, that means he's going slow, or slower, which means that Fluffy and Groover are automatically going to catch up to him. So if Fluffy goes aggressive for the overtake on Groover here, he could end up way too close to Steve F1, but also there's a chance that Steve F1 is going to understeer wide in this corner, affecting Groover, which means Fluffy, if he keeps the tight line, may be able to gain 2 places. So there you are, Steve F1 has had to slow down, and now Fluffy's on the back of him. Fluffy's keeping that tight line, he's made the move on Groover without really having to actually go for it, squeezed him a bit there. Oh, now we're in trouble, potentially. Let's see, formerly Gary, he's trying to defend to Demonr. So Steve F1 is trying to defend to the cars behind. Fluffy is now in the middle of the road. It's not a bad place to be, but this could be trouble. It depends what happens here. SGP's on the outside. He's got the racing line, but that doesn't mean he can come straight into the apex. Groover, he's got the inside line, but he should be braking earlier than anybody else because he's got such a tight corner to come round. He's going to struggle to get around this corner. Instead, SGP, he's brake late because he has got the space and he can afford to go round the outside there, and he's got more grip. Groover, I don't think he's making that corner, right? He has just, he's understeered, but he's compromised himself. This could get interesting because now SGP's out on the outside, Steve F1's in the middle of the road, and Groover's coming across a little bit. But if fluffyplanet is lucky, the way he's taken this, if he can keep a tighter line, he may be able to benefit on the exit. But if we look at Rich Blues, the Jamaican hemp car up ahead, it looks like he's already going sideways. And now there's nothing Fluffy can do. I mean, Fluffy negotiated that corner very, very well. Groover got lucky as fuck, right? SGP also got a bit lucky, but he did have the grip in the braking zone. And this is why Groover is also lucky. Clip the barrier. Oh, and that's a lovely bit of movement from Fluffy there. So in very tricky situations, he's definitely composed himself. And it may mean that he comes under attack a bit, but that's racing. It's good driving, this Fluffy, so far. Don't fuck it up. Okay, so now looking at the cars ahead, I mean, the cars ahead are all decent drivers. The cars behind, decent drivers. They are also very quick. I like it. He's not chucking it up the inside into this corner. I mean, this is I will actually point this out. So let's see. Okay, we're at the 200 meter marker board just about here. And see, for Fluffy, it would be so easy to chuck it up the inside of Steve F1, but at this point, I can already tell you he's too far back to go for it. And if he was to go for it, it's a risk, right? He may not be under control. So even if he did attempt to go for it, I don't think he'd necessarily keep the position. So not much point going for it. He'd be better off looking after his tyres and doing exactly what he does here. Not hurting his tyres. And now he's closer. Okay, Steve and SGP are into the pit. So had Fluffy attacked him, it'd have been pointless. But again, that's good driving. He's not hurt his tyres, he's not lost any time, and now he's gaining on the 3 cars ahead. I mean, now he's about the same distance behind Gary as to what he was behind Steve F1. So he's gained quite nicely. He's not killing his tyres, pushing it too hard through here. I'm liking it. And at this point, hopefully he'll be looking at these guys thinking, okay, what are you going to do? Dave and Demonr are fighting. Oh, that's lovely. This is something that in the last championship we didn't see from Fluffy. But the fact that we've seen it twice in a row, this shows that what he did on the first lap, or the first lap, wasn't a one-off. He's looking at this battle and going, right, okay, Dave and Demonr are fighting. Formerly Gary's in there. There's not a lot of point in Fluffy getting involved in what's potentially a 3-car fight there. He'd be better off waiting and picking the right opportunity. And this is not it, which is why he's not gone for it. So Gary's looking at attacking Demonr. Is it on? He may be a little bit too far back. Dave the Arp's defending. So in this situation, both Gary and fluffyplanet have actually got the possibility of overtaking both the cars ahead of them. Because if these two were actually both on the racing line over on the right hand side, they would get a fast exit of the corner, which then they would have the slipstream and an easy overtake. Now, Fluffy has got himself over to the left-hand side, but in the past would have seen him chuck it into the corner and go for the overtake. So that's quite nice from Fluffy. He's going to get caught out here and tag the back of Gary. Nothing Fluffy could have done about that. But had they both been on the racing line, to be fair, they both would have been attacking Demonr, and in turn Dave the Harp, because they'd have been having a much better exit of the corner and a hell of a lot more slipstream. So now he's lost a little bit of time. Now he's coming under pressure. Although Rich Blues has just given him a bit of a tag. So, is Fluffy going to defend? No, he's not. He's choosing to go for the fastest line, which is fair enough. Rich Blues wasn't close enough to attack. Now the pack beginning to close up on him. First time into this corner with no one around him. Nicely done. So far, I mean, I don't think there's anything that I'd say that Fluffy has done wrong. There isn't. So far he's been driving really well, and what would be seen as perhaps caution early on has resulted with him being in 4th place at the moment, which is brilliant, I've got to say. I mean, he's definitely not driving in a way that's hurting his tyres. And this is one of the other things about it as well. If you go chucking it up the inside into corners and you're hard on the brakes and you're heavy on the brakes and you're sliding the car around, yeah, you might make the odd overtake. You're going to lose positions, though, on the exits of corners, and you're going to kill your tyres, and then you're not going to be able to overtake anybody. So this is really massively improved driving from Fluffy. Okay, so he's getting into the slipstream. Now, I mentioned on the previous lap about the hairpin. Is that I'm interested in. Is Fluffy on this occasion going to find himself on the left hand side of the track again, or is he going to go to the racing line? Because in this position, I mean, I'm not looking at what's behind him, but in this position, if he doesn't have to defend, then he should be on the racing line heading towards the hairpin. There you go. So Dave is now defending. Fluffy's on the racing line. Although he may look like he's lost a bit of time, he'll actually get the better run. He did knock it down to 2nd, which can lose you a bit of time. So yeah, he's not had the fastest of exits, but had he got a better exit, it'd have been a hell of a lot closer. It's possible as well, he is short shifting a little too much. 5th to 6th. Not braking late, I like it. No point braking late in that corner. You just end up going straight on. So this is where I would, if I was in Fluffy's ear while he's driving here, I would potentially be saying, right, don't attack him. Perhaps dummy an attack, see if you can get him to defend. Because if you can get him to defend, you can have the racing line on the entry to the corner. So here now, get Dave the Arp to cover the inside, and if he doesn't and the room's there, you can go for it if you want. So he's looking, but he's doing it safely. Nice, I like it. You see, that's brilliant. In previous championships, we'd have seen contact. Fluffy would have come into that corner too fast. Now, okay, he's not managed to make the overtake work, but he's got Dave looking in his mirrors, so now Dave isn't hitting apexes. So, move to the inside. He's close enough to go for it into turn 1 here. Dave's not defending, so yeah, the move is on. And again, this is very respectful. I'm loving it. This is completely different to how Fluffy used to drive. Now, Dave's still there, but Fluffy was just ahead. That's nice. Now, is he going to defend into the hairpin? I mean, this is now 3rd place for Fluffy. This is good driving. He's not defending because Dave wasn't close enough. Ooh, Dave getting a little squeaky on the tyres. But again, that's good awareness. He realised that Dave was not close enough to attack. Okay, in the slipstream though, yeah, Dave is definitely going to be close enough. So which way is Fluffy going to go? Is he going to defend? No. That's fine. Don't lose too much time here. Tuck back in. Again, he's not hurting his tyres at all. And we're just about 10 minutes into the race. This is, I've got to say, I'm impressed, Fluffy. Now, okay, he has got SGP, who pitted earlier, starting to close in, but not a problem at the moment. Is he going to go for the over? This, I wouldn't do it necessarily into this corner. It's a tricky one. But he's looking, trying to get Dave off the racing line. And I can tell that because he's not sticking his car up alongside where it doesn't belong. He's just letting Dave know, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. If you don't defend, I might stick my nose in. Now he's close enough definitely to have another go here. He's in a better position. Brakes a little later. That is lovely. That is lovely. Because he was up alongside, because he's this close at this point, and he's up alongside much sooner. And this is one of the things that I did mention to Gary, that sorry, to Fluffy and to Gary really, that if you come from way back, the driver ahead of you has no opportunity to realise you're there. And then if they turn in for the corner and you're there, to be honest, it's not their fault, it's yours. Right? So if you're much closer, like Fluffy is here, Dave the Harp will know is right up his bumper. And Dave the Harp will know that if Fluffy moves over into this position, Dave the Harp knows that he is there. So when it comes to the braking point, Dave the Harp is going to be fully aware of whether he's going to need to leave room or not. Now on this occasion, Fluffy is able to go, right, because I've been looking after my tyres so far, I can brake a little bit later into this corner, and that little bit later isn't beyond the limit of braking point for this corner. It's a little bit later than what he's been previously braking, but can still comfortably make the corner under control. So brakes touch later, up the inside, lovely move. Dave the Harp is a perfect dance partner in that situation. He doesn't lose a lot of time. He's still up Fluffy's gearbox. Is Fluffy going to defend? No, he's not. That's fine. Oh, he has ran a little wide though. But still, this is good racing. Chucking it up the inside into a corner isn't good racing. It's okay, now we're side by side. Now, this is where, now, because Fluffy has been aware of the previous pause that I did, where Fluffy knows that Dave the Harp knew he was there, well now Fluffy should 100% know that Dave the Harp is there, and what should he do? The respectful thing, and give him the space. Which he's doing. He's taking a very wide entry, trying to maximise his exit. Perhaps not quite got it right, but still very respectful. He hasn't tried to turn in on Dave. I mean, he could squeeze him a bit towards the apex, there's no problem with that, and make it really tough. But that'll come with time, that'll come with experience. So there are still a few things that Fluffy can work on, but he's gone from being quick and dangerous to he slowed down a bit and perhaps lost a few points because of it, but now he's driving in a much safer way and his speed can start to come back into it. Okay, got good slipstream here. I've got to say though as well, I mean, this is good driving from Dave. I mean, these two, they've not made any contact. I'll say that. Crash! I mean, this is good racing. Okay, is he going to defend the inside? No, I'd say Dave maybe just a little bit too far behind. And this is good awareness. I mean, awareness isn't just about seeing what's in front of you, it's about seeing what's behind you as well. Because this is the thing about people coming from, making a move from too far back. And maybe, oh, you know what, I was about to say, maybe we'd be able to see it. Interesting. Because I do know I've seen this bit on the race footage. Okay, so as Fluffy's driving over the bridge here, he should be at some point either looking in his mirrors or looking in his rear view, using the rear view button, so he can look behind him to see where Dave the Harp is. Now, when you actually think about this, there is a last moment where you can look in your mirror, and that is literally just before the braking point. Okay, because if you're looking in your mirror at the braking point, you'll miss your braking point and you go straight on. So a bit before the braking point is the last moment that you can look in your mirror, right? So if you're the car behind, you have to remember that, because if you move too late, the driver ahead has zero opportunity of realising you're coming. Even if they have a radar on, if you're not on the radar at the point you're coming from, they're looking at where they're going around the corner, right? Because when they last looked, you were too far behind to attack. Now this, I've got to say, this is potentially on the limit, but again shows brilliant awareness from Fluffy, that he knows that Dave is close and that he's able to react and give him the space. I mean, at this point, Dave the Harp is kind of hinting, I might go for it, I might go for it. He's trying to get Fluffy to defend. Fluffy is having none of it. He's going for the racing line, the faster line. But Fluffy must be aware that Dave the Harp has moved over a bit. He's not right in his slipstream. At this point now, if Dave has come from too far back, this is where Fluffy would turn in and be contact. And in some respects, you'd be able to go, well, there's nothing Fluffy could do there. If you're side by side at a braking point, then fair enough, yeah, the guy can't turn in on you. But this is a risky move from Dave, to be fair, but he makes it work. But it's because of Fluffy. Right, I'm going to try and keep an eye on the steering wheel, right? Because you'll see that he starts turning for the corner and then he stops turning in. And that's the moment of awareness. So keep an eye on that steering wheel. So starts turning in, and there was a little moment of awareness, and that's what gave Dave just enough room. The battle continues. It's a tiny little thing Fluffy's done there, but it's absolutely brilliant. This time he's realised he's too far back to attack here. Also, tyres are starting to degrade a bit. They're getting to the point where they're not going to do many more laps. One if you're lucky. That's a good exit of that corner. Tagged the back of Dave, but going for the pits. Good decision that. Now Fluffy could have continued on, but the pack was catching him up. So for Fluffy to pit there, it's a good decision, because it means that Dave the Harp isn't going to get a massive boost on him. So yeah, they come out of the pits, line astern, cold tyres, Fluffy gets a little bit out of shape. But that's fine. Okay, now, yeah, he's in 13th place, but he's actually in a very good position. He's gone, what, 13 minutes on his tyres? And okay, he's on the soft tyres, but he's keeping pace with guys that are on super softs. So now that Dave has come out of the pits, I believe, on the super soft tyre, he's got a bit more grip at this point, because Fluffy's tyres need to get up to temperature a little bit. Takes a little longer for the grip to really come into effect. But he doesn't need to rush here, because in a way the best thing to do would perhaps be to not attack Dave, and the both of them will catch up to the pack. Now, he has got Bunsell behind him. I don't think he'll be worrying too much about that. So what are you going to do here, Fluffy? Okay, not late on the brakes yet. He's maybe positioned there, but he's not really attacking. And now they're both on the back of the pack. I got to say, Fluffy, I am impressed, mate. I really am. I mean, okay, there's incidents, or not incidents, situations like that where I will actually mention that, actually. Okay, so at this point, I mean, there's a couple of reasons why Fluffy may have stayed in this position. One of them might be, and I know I've done this before, is if you're this far back behind a car, there's a couple of things you could be trying to do. One is let them know I might go for it, and the other is, when I hit the brakes, I don't want to hit you if I get it slightly wrong. Right? So being in this position, if Fluffy braked a little bit too late, he wouldn't necessarily ram the arse end of Dave the Arp, and he may be able to avoid a collision. Right? But what I would say is, he would benefit more from moving back to the racing line at this point. Because at this point it could start moving over towards the racing line just to maximise the speed through the corner. I mean, what he's done there is not necessarily wrong, it's not wrong at all, but he may have benefited a little bit more being on the racing line. But at the same time, he doesn't need to rush here. Okay, so now we're catching up to the pack. What are you gonna do, Fluffy? Okay, car starting to go a few wide up ahead. Okay, a few cars peel off into the pits. That helps. Fluffy's caution once again is putting him into a position to have a potential overtake. Dave the Arp could get boxed in here. Again, Fluffy fully under control. Leaving I mean, ooh, that was close. That was close. I've got to say, that was really close. That is like proper on the limit, but I don't think he hit him. Dave's a little wide. I mean, it's close. There's no contact. I mean, that's good driving from the both of them again. Oh, that's unlucky for Dave. Bit of understeer. Okay, what are you going to do into the hairpin, Fluffy? Are you going to chuck it up the inside? No. He's maximising his entry. Run a little bit wide there, but he's going to get a good exit. That's much better. No point chucking it up the inside into the hairpin. He's had a much better exit. That's one car dispatched. The second one's on his way. Can he get lined up in a slipstream from a car ahead? Oh, maybe he was a little too wide on the kink, unfortunately. But 3 wide ahead, what are you going to do? Ooh, that's close with Rich. But he's just avoiding it. Oh, he's going to the inside. Oh, you know what? It's a lovely move, massive risk. But lovely move. How close are the cars behind? Yeah, okay. The reason that this is a risk is because of the cars behind. If he doesn't hit anyone, or like anyone hit him, he gets away with it. This is a risky move, but I can see exactly what he's trying to do. He isn't actually wanting to go and up the inside into the right-hander. He wants Rich to be over to the inside, and that's why Fluffy switches over to the left. So at this point, I mean, Fluffy could go straight on, but he's going to drive into a box that's not really, there's nowhere really to go. Switch to the inside to make Rich defend, which Rich does a little bit, and now Fluffy moves across. But he's just lucky enough that the cars behind aren't too close. Holy shit! I bet he shit himself then. So even though he's moved around quite a bit there, he's still fully under control. Rich, you certainly stuffed him into this barrier. I mean, that's close. He's done well to avoid that. Okay, now he's on the back of Lewis. Okay, Fluffy, why are you in this position? Is it to defend? Let me just come back a bit. If he's defending, then fair enough. Okay, he's got Dave the Arp behind him. Okay, so he's not defending. I would say this is a potential odd position to put yourself in on this particular corner. Okay, it means he hasn't got any cars in front of him. So when it comes to the braking, chances are, I mean, that might be what it is. He's got Lewis, the new guy, ahead of him, so maybe he's thinking, I don't want to brake right behind him in case our braking points are different. So it could be a little bit of caution coming in here. but if he stays on this line, he's going to make this corner very, very tight. Okay, now he has moved across a bit to open the corner up a little bit. But he's compromised himself a touch, but he's going to turn it into an overtake. You lucky motherfucker. Let's have another look at this. Okay, so Lewis gets a little bit sideways. So even though Fluffy was on the inside, he still approached it with caution, and it resulted in being in a perfect position, luckily, to make a move. Fair play. Okay. Just thinking about it, but thought better of it. This is not like the Fluffy that raced last championship. I can honestly say that. Now he can attempt this overtake if he wants. SRI's defending it though. Holy... oh shit! Okay. What happened there? Right. Now this is interesting in a way, because at this point he has the opportunity, the possibility is on of an overtake into the final corner on SRI, but SRI makes it aware at this point that little movement from SRI is basically saying fuck off mate, don't try it here please. Now Fluffy acknowledges it by tucking in behind him, nearly tags the back. I've got to say that. I mean, let's have a look at what point Fluffy brakes, shall we? Because the braking point for this corner, it's surprisingly early. Well, not early. I mean, it's about 100 metres-ish. Yeah, so he's applied the brake about 100 metres just after. And it turns out it's actually a little late because he nearly hit the back of SRI. So yeah, about 100 metres is where the braking point is, and he braked just after it, nearly tagged the back of SRI. And then I saw the roof of a car appear. Okay, so who's that? Lewis. Okay, so let's see. I'm not picking on Lewis here, I'm just interested to see what happens. Now what I would say is, I mean, just looking at this moment here, if I'm in Lewis's position, I've got to say at this point, I would be thinking, I'm not going to go for an overtake into the final corner, because with how close those two are, there's a chance that they might battle each other. If they battle each other, they'll be slower, I can overtake them both on the exit. Okay, so we see the 100 metre marker board. Fluffy is just alongside it, not on the brakes yet. Now he's on... ooh. Okay, so Fluffy's on the brakes at about 75 metres. Oh, Lewis is on the brakes 60 metres. I would honestly say it's a bit late. Yeah. Okay, I'd say that's a bit unfortunate for Lewis there. It's very easy to get caught out like that. I mean, it's unfortunate for Fluffy as well, because, I mean, Fluffy made a bit of a mistake. He braked a little bit too late into the corner. Unfortunately, Lewis, I would say, has braked a little later, and that's resulted in the collision there. So how is Fluffy going to recover from that then? Oh, by SGP driving into the back of him. That's unlucky for SGP. Nothing Fluffy could do about that. Okay, so Fluffy, this is an interesting point. Okay. I was about to say this is an interesting point because Fluffy has been driving very well so far. He's been having good battles. He's potentially just feels like he's just been rammed off. Now he might be angry. So what's he going to do? Is he going to drive angry now? Or is he going to keep the composed driving going? Now I would say on entry here it looks like he's going angry. He's hard on the brakes, but it's composed. So I think there was a moment there where a potential bit of anger could have crept in. It's close with Bunsell here. Bunsell's all over the back of him, but again, okay, are you going to go for up the inside? He's looking. Okay, this is good stuff. His mind ain't right, I can tell you that now, because he's in 4th gear. First time he's taken that corner in 4th gear, I believe. So he's definitely not thinking calmly, but he's trying not to drive angry. But here comes Mandalorian. And Silver Shadow and Bunsel. Tricky situation. Oh, you know what? Ooh. Yeah, he's still driving a bit angry. Don't do it, don't do it. Oh, ooh. Okay. Interesting. I would say, if I was a psychologist, I'd have to say that at this point, Fluffy is battling with his demons, right? Because in the first part of this race, he was not doing what he does here, and he wouldn't have done this, right? So he's definitely a little bit tense at the moment. He's a little bit pissed. And he'll see that he's got his mate Groover ahead of him. Mandalorian's behind him on fresh tyres, and we know Mandalorian likes an overtake. So I would say this is definitely a crucial stage. But one way to look at it is, he was battling with Dave the Harp earlier, and Dave the Harp's right there. So Fluffy could actually, if he was able to go, it's alright, don't matter, I'm not doing too bad, and forget and move on, it'd help. So he actually goes into this corner quite nicely given the situation and the cars that are around him. But then at this point, I mean, it sounds like a car's had a collision in the background, but at this point is where the aggression comes in, the anger comes in, right? Because he's going to go full throttle and he's going to understeer wide, right? Whereas previously he wouldn't go full throttle and he would be sort of hugging this inside line. So full throttle, doesn't lift, full throttle, and now he's up against the barrier, right? So now, I'm only guessing, Fluffy, I mean, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but now Fluffy has come into that corner okay, come out of it a bit angry, and maybe at this point he's gone, okay, I need to calm down. Because I'm thinking, looking at this, he's going to go for a dive bomb here over the crest of the hill. And if he does, it won't work, right? But he brakes just before the crest of the hill, which is the right braking point for this corner, especially if you're on the right hand side of the track. So although he came out of that corner angry, I think he may have realised, okay, yeah, don't do this, and that's why he's braked when he has. And Groover has clearly learned from his earlier collision here, because he's on the brakes much earlier than he was previously. So Fluffy is actually in control here, but unfortunately, it's Bunsel. Bunsel has tagged the back of him. I'm guessing Bunsel's braked a little later, and that has sent Fluffy straight on into a couple of cars there. So I can imagine Fluffy is now very, very annoyed. Unfortunately, Bunsel, I don't know if you got hit. I mean, I'm not going to go looking into that. But yeah, a tag from Bunsel has sent Fluffy into a couple of cars there. I must admit, I think if I was Fluffy, I probably, no offence, Bunce, I probably would have reported you for this one. Because, yeah, it's also taken out Dave the Arp, or did Dave the Arp get away with it? I think Dave, no. Yeah, Dave didn't. To be fair, you know what, Bunsel? Fair play to you. You waited. Respect. I wouldn't report you. I really wouldn't. He realised, yeah, he's made a mistake there. Fair play. Now, okay, this is where Fluffy may be pissed, right, that that's just happened, but it's an instant, I'm not going to say calming agent, because it isn't always, but it's an instant, as a driver, you know, the other guy knows he fucked up, right? So as Fluffy is manoeuvring his car and going, fucking hell, what the fuck happened there? He comes around the corner and he goes, okay, Bunsel, he knows he's fucked up there. And that hopefully will help. It doesn't mean that he's not still going to be a bit angry and annoyed that he's gone from battling for 4th or 3rd to now he's down near the back of the grid. But this, for me, is still quite interesting, because this is now a battle of his own mind. Is he going to still drive calm? Is he still going to be controlled, or is he going to get angry and aggressive? I'm hoping he still drives calm. It's not easy to do. He's calm through those corners. So while he's on his own here, he's definitely calm and controlled. I know I've said it a few times, this is good. This is good, Fluffy. I am impressed. Now, admittedly, if you go ramming people, I ain't going to be impressed. But so far, 20 minutes, this is impressive. Okay, interesting situation occurring ahead. Don't chuck it up. This is good stuff, yeah. On the racing line, maximise the exit. Perfect apex. On that line, he would have been able to use third gear through that corner. That maximises the speed out of the corner. Okay, now we're in a tricky situation. There's nowhere to go. He realises that. Look at the throttle usage. Didn't go flat out, did he? He did when he was angry a lap ago. But this is good. This is showing that even if he is angry, he's in control. Now, because Dave the Alp's ahead, he's getting the slipstream here, which is giving him the opportunity for this overtake. Silver Shadow, though, covering it off by hugging Mandalorian. Oh, Groover's just nudged Steve F1. That's going to slow him down. Okay, yeah. A few times, Fluffy, you need to shift earlier. Don't let it hit the limiter. I mean, I wouldn't say short shift, but yeah. You gain more speed, shifting a little sooner. Oh, Bunsel up the inside. He's got an opportunity side by side. Fluffy, what are you going to do? Nice. Over. Yes, beautiful. Beautiful, Fluffy. That is... No, I've got to say, right? I'm not going to say I'm going to take credit for everything that Fluffy's doing here, but this, I am going to take credit for. Because as part of Fluffy being too aggressive on entry to corners in the past, one of the things that I was teaching him was, look, you don't necessarily always have to defend a corner. If a car is already alongside you, just let them have the corner. You focus on your racing line and the fastest possible exit you can get. So if they do get up the inside of you, you're in position to overtake them on the exit of the corner, right? So yes, you can defend corners, but sometimes you have to weigh up, is it worth it? I may be better off saying, you know what, I'll let you have the corner because you're going to be slower and I'm just going to drive past you on the exit. And that's exactly what Fluffy does here. He realises Bunsel's there, he maximises his width of the track, does the undercut, the switchback, beautifully executed that. That is beautiful. Bit of a nudge from SGP, so now he is kind of defending. That gap's going to close and he avoids it. This is now getting mental. Okay, he's got a few cars around him and he's going to have to be careful here because he could get hung out wide. He knows it, that's why he hasn't gone in there too quick. Oh, ooh. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. May have been a bit of understeer. You know, that's just a racing incident, that, unfortunately. As at a quick glance of that, that's just two cars coming together in the middle of the road. Okay, yeah, he might be getting a little bit angry again. Nice overtake from Rich there. Oh, this is getting a little busy. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to... You know what, Fluffy? Respect. I've literally just said there's nowhere to go, and I'm thinking, what are you going to do? And you did the one and only right thing. You lifted. You were spotted. There's nowhere to go. I'm going to slow down. And that is the right thing to do. There's no point trying to get involved in this ahead of you. You've slowed down. That is brilliant. And because of that, now you're attempting an overtake. And another overtake. Ooh, go on, that gap's there for you. Oh, Rich. Ooh, Rich gives Silver Shadow a bit of a nudge, trying to bump draft him. Okay. Now really tricky. This could get nasty. This could get nasty. Fluffy going for this gap here. It's risky. I'd have probably done exactly the same thing if I thought the space was there. And to be fair, if he hadn't have done it, Rich may have sort of tagged him into the back of Silver Shadow. And Rich has tagged the back of Silver Shadow. Not a lot in that. Speeds Silver Shadow up a little bit. A little bit of contact there, but now I've got to say, if I'm in the middle here, this is not a nice place to be. Because the cars on the right, they've got slipstream of the cars ahead. Silver Shadow on the inside is on the dirty part of the track. He's going to be on a tight line. So technically you'd look at it and think, well, Silver Shadow, it's going to be a risk for him to make it an overtake or keep the position around this corner. The cars on the outside, yeah, I don't think you're making a move on them. So me personally, at this point, I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, you might be able to brake a little bit later than Silver Shadow should, but not later than the cars on the right. What are you going to do, Fluffy? Fair play. Fair fucking play to you. That, I'm impressed. High risk. I mean, fair play to Groover as well. I'm guessing he saw this coming. I mean, that was risky, and he's lost. Well, he might lose the position to Groover here, but I've got to say, he didn't hit anyone. Oh, Groover! Oh, you're meant to be his mate, you cunt! I don't know. Fluffy does a brilliant bit of driving, and Groover says, "Here, I'll have this pig." Oh, fuck you know. Okay, so what are you going to do now? Oh, okay, Dave the Arp's coming alongside. He's giving room. He's getting it slowed down enough. Is he going for the pits? Yes, he is. I don't blame him going for the pits at this point. Whether it's strategic or not, I don't know. What, 15 and a half minutes to go? Getting himself out of that pack at this time, not a bad decision. So you see now, he's got a bit of clear road. Other than Steve F1. Fuck you, Del. But yeah, he's got a lot less cars around him now. So now we can refocus, try and gain time to try and get ahead of that pack of cars. Yeah, SGP says, and Jason thinks, oh, what a boring race. Oh, someone's going slow there. 3 cars ahead. Who's that? Rich Blues? Yep. I think he's just had a spin. Now, I am curious as to why Fluffy is using the Racing Soft tyre and not the Racing Super Soft, because to be honest, the way that Fluffy's driving in this race, he'd be able to use Super Softs and not destroy them. Which means there's potential of being a little bit quicker. Because one thing, with driving the way that he is, on the super soft tyre, the car won't slide about that much. Which means he'll have more grip. Well, he does have more grip, but the car won't slide about as much, which will allow him to go a little bit quicker while making the tyres last as long as he's making these softs last. Okay, that's opportunistic, but a decent move on Rich there. This now is getting very, very hectic. Don't get involved. Don't get involved in this. Well done. Well done. Getting involved in that battle ahead right then would have been disastrous. Oh, car's going for the pits. Bunzel, you can't get in there. There's a car there. Oh! Sorry, Bunzel. Let's have a look. Okay. I can understand Bunzel surrounded by cars. I can understand that he wants to pit. Yeah. One thing I would say is, if you're wanting the pits and there's a car on the left of you that doesn't, you've got to lift off. Is fluffyplanet wrong for trying to keep going to the right? No. No. Ooh! It has ended in disaster for Fluffy though. So, unfortunately, although Fluffy's done the right thing here, not getting involved in this battle, with Bunzel trying to get into the pits, I tell you what, oh, you know what? I'm not going to slag Bunzel off here. I mean, I wouldn't do that anyway. I'm going to imagine myself being in Bunzel's car, right? Being in Bunzel's car, but it's SGP that's in Fluffy's car, right? As I'm now here, trying to get into the pits, I'm thinking, well, Groover's going in the pits, Dave the Harp's going in the pits, fluffyplanet's going in the pits, but he's going to put me into the pit wall, because it's SGP drive. No, he wouldn't. Well, he would in practice. So I could imagine that Bunzel might be thinking, hang on a minute, are you trying to put me in the pit wall? I don't think that's what he'd do. But, yeah, unfortunately, Bunzel, bit of an error there, I think. That's resulted in Fluffy spinning, tagging SRI. Ooh. Yeah, that... It can get frantic around the pit entries. Difficult for Fluffy now. Difficult. I can imagine. I can fully understand being very angry at this point now. This is going to test his mettle. This is going to test his mental strength. Because now he's got cars behind him that have pitted. They're on fresh tyres. One of them is Dave the Harp, who was battling earlier, and Fluffy's going to need to pit stop again, I believe. Well, he probably will have to now with the tyre wear. Because the thing with the tyre wear is, for anyone that doesn't know, you can be visibly showing the same level of tyre wear, like if you look after the tyres to not. But if you've had a big spin like he has, your level of grip is actually different. So, excuse me, if you punish your tyres, although your tyre wear might show the same as someone that hasn't punished their tyres, you will have less grip. And that is showing that Fluffy's car's a little bit sideways there. So Jason going for a bit of action in the race by pitting. Yeah, Fluffy's slightly off his lines at the moment. Now he is coming under pressure from Mandalorian, so it's understandable. But the best thing you can do here is not bother defending, stick to the racing line. If they're on fresh tyres, make it so that they've got to be up alongside you. Although he is starting to catch the pack. But yeah, stick to the racing lines. That's a lovely move. Oh my god, carnage ahead. Holy shit. Well done, Fluffy. From 9th to 4th in one corner. But to be fair, this all comes from taking this line here, avoiding those two on the right, which puts him in the perfect position to capitalise on other people's errors. Again, that's good fucking driving. Mandalorian's close, I can hear it. Okay, Fluffy going middle of the road-ish, yeah, covering off the corner. Oh, that's unlucky. Oh no. Right, okay. You know what? It's unlucky. He was going to hit the barrier. Turned in too soon. I'd say that's potentially his first mistake, which is not bad. I mean, his mistake was probably more than likely come from trying to make sure that he gave Mandalorian the room. He was trying to be aware of where he was, turned in for the corner, it was too soon. And then obviously he had to go slower and adjust, and that meant the Mandalorian hit the back of him. He's slowing down here. I think he's realising that his tyres may be on the way out. He's not got the grip. It's looking like he's trying to calm himself down again. Try and keep things a little smoother. Braking a little late there, but getting away with it. I mean, what I will say is he hasn't resorted to braking way too late. And then he brakes too late. Now, yeah, he braked too late and he's compromised himself a little bit, but he hasn't braked way too late. And yeah, he was thinking his tyres are on the way. They'd been punished too much. A couple of spins in that stint. Although he hasn't got a lot of wear gone on them, the grip level isn't there. So although that has now put him pretty much at the back again, it's actually a wise move, because he was beginning to get swamped by the pack, many of which are on fresher tyres. So with the damaged tyres that he's had, now he's got brand new tyres, 9 minutes or 8.5 minutes to go. Now he can actually, if he wants to, push these tyres a little bit more than previously. But one of the things, actually, you know, I am just going to skip it back because to the final corner. Right, now one of the things that Fluffy was doing previously in the previous championship was braking at points that I would say is way too late, right? Which means that if he accidentally brakes later than that, so basically he's braking at a point where the car is actually, it's out of control and he's not going to go through the corner very quickly. And it also means that if he misses his braking point, he's going straight on, right? So by working with him and saying, look, brake earlier means you can brake less. It means you can keep your speed higher. It means you can make the corner every single time. It also means that if you miss your braking point, you can recover. And that's exactly what happens down here. So if we look at when he brakes, it's beyond the 100. And as he's turning in, now he's realising, shit, I ain't making this. Now in a second, I'm just going to roll it back a little more and then I'll get the details up, because I'm interested to see what he does with his throttle, his brake and his steering here. And for the steering, it's the red dot just above the rev counter. Okay, so, I mean, for this corner, me personally, I'm not braking a lot at all. You really don't need to, but if you brake late, you're going to have to brake more. Yeah, so that's a decent amount of braking, but now he's had to wait and wait and wait. So he's braked late, the ABS has kicked in, but he's been able to recover it, because even though he's braked late, he's not out of control, and he has a margin for error, and he used that margin. Now, I've got to say, I've never really done this before, where I've sat there and just sort of, especially not live streamed, me reviewing someone else's race. in this way. I've never really done that before, but so it is very interesting to see what has gone on in Fluffy's race and how he's dealt with it. I mean, I could be wrong with what was going through his mind. For all I know, he could have been thinking, right, Chinese or curry tonight, or a pokebomb wank. Could have been either of those three things. Maybe that's why he was so calm. But yeah, it's the thing is, it's interesting for me though, seeing that he's taken the things that I'd said to him and put them into effect, and it's worked. Okay, he's been involved in incidents, but those incidents haven't been his fault. So him taking on board what I've been saying hasn't led him to be in a situation where he's being involved in incidents. I'm guessing Silver Shadow punted Bunsel. Yeah, so the things that Fluffy has learned hasn't resulted in him being involved in incidents. It's resulted in him being in that battle for 4th place earlier on, and unfortunately it's the incidents that have led to him being back here. But seeing it driving now in a situation where he could be angry, what's he going to do? Now this is Groover ahead of him, so I reckon he'll dive bomb him. No. I think Fluffy's been getting someone else to drive for him. I mean, this is not the Fluffy that joined DGT League. I mean, even there, he could have gone for chucking it up the inside, but it goes against what he's working towards at the moment, which is maximising his own speed through a corner, which allows him to now be in this position to potentially make an easier overtake. Groover's fighting it though, but he hasn't got the tyres. This is good stuff, Fluffy. I mean, now, through everything that Fluffy has been through in this race, he's now legitimately once again in the battle for 4th place, because up ahead is Dave the Harp and Formula Gary, and they're in the battle for 4th place, and Fluffy's actually, I think, got the fresher tyres. So Fluffy, the way that he's driven this race, even through all the drama, has put him into a position where he can now still go and try and take 4th place. The problem is, he's got cars right behind him. Now, the 3 behind him, let's see, SRI I think's got relatively fresh tyres, but those cars in the background, they've got brand new tyres, because SGP and Mandalorian pitted not long ago. Last lap, I think. Okay, Fluffy's aware that there's a few cars behind him here, but he's also aware they're not close enough to attack him. That's lovely. See, now at this point as well, I mean, Fluffy's looking after his tyres. He was in 6th gear, low revs on. As soon as he pops it down to 5th, he's ran a bit wide. But Fluffy, oh no, oh, got away with it just. I mean, that was yeah, that was error number 2, but easily done, and he recovered. He's going to get swamped here though, because there's SRI, Mandalorian, SGP. Yeah, he knows he's in danger, which is why he's defending. But he's got the room to go mid-road. Oh, it's getting physical, it's getting physical. He may defend here, but the racing line is the grippiest part. Groover's coming in too deep, that's too late, too late. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. Looking at this image now, where Dave the Harp and Formula Gary are, is, I would say, beyond the braking point for this corner coming up. So Groover being in the position he's in at the moment, I would say potentially coming from a little bit too far back, but I can understand him being under pressure because of the mental guys behind him. So yeah, looking at where Fluffy brakes, that's about right, crest of the hill. And Groover brake, yeah, a touch late. To be fair, I think Fluffy saw him coming, but Fluffy may not have realised that Groover had another car up alongside him. So although Fluffy looks like he might be giving Groover a bit of room, there's another car there. Fluffy's not at fault for this. Yeah, I do think that Fluffy was giving Groover the room, but unfortunately there was another car there. You know what, Fluffy? I'd be sending Groover a message with one 4-letter word. It starts with C, ends in T. Okay, so Fluffy has now gone from another battle for 4th down to 13th. With 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left in the race. So this lap and one more maybe. Oh. Now, I'll be honest, if I saw something stupid from Fluffy here, I'd not be happy, but I could understand. But at the same time, this is one of the features of DGT, not getting pissed off. Yeah, he's angry. But one of the good things about DGT is that you can be involved in an incident and you can still get back in the race. So he can see that there's still a number of cars ahead of him, and what? I think that's probably the battle from 6th. So 6th to 12th are right ahead of him, so if he keeps his head, there's still a possibility of gaining more places here. I'm going to risk taking a drink here. I might end up spitting it everywhere. Okay, there's nowhere to go. Now, he did what he did earlier, lifted early. He's looking after himself here. He's cautious with his revs. He's taken that inside line. He's trying to keep himself out of trouble here, but open up the corner to duck up the inside. If anyone fucks up, goes wide, he's passing them. So he's gained a place. Oh, nowhere really to go here, though. He's trying to force it, though. Oh, if he brakes as late as he did earlier, he's going to hit SRI, and he hasn't braked as late. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Watch his brake. I don't know if it will show his braking here properly, but watch his brake. He's on the brakes, comes off them, and goes on them again. There. That's lovely. That's to get himself ahead of the car on the left. That's really, really good driving, that is, Fluffy. You would have so easily in the past have pile-drived SRI. Now, this line's the slower line, but it opens up the road ahead. Allows him to make the move on Bunsell, but he's got a slow exit because of it. Excuse me. Yeah, unfortunately, the slow exit, and here comes every other fucker. Oh! You know what? I think he had another car. I think Groover had another car there alongside him. The Groover's going into a gap that's SGP was trying to get into. So let's see, SG. So Fluffy. Oh, who's that? Rich Blues is alongside Groover. Up behind Bunsell, gives Bunsell a nudge. I think Fluffy got out of shape there, you know. Perhaps on the brakes. Yeah, his car's pirouetted a little bit, lost it a little bit under braking. Is he recover? Yeah, he's trying to recover it, but because Groover's got Rich next to him, Groover can't move anywhere. Fluffy is trying to recover it, but nothing he could do. I mean, yes, he's in control, and the reason the car snapped would have been his fault. But it's not like he was. To me, it didn't look like he was just turning in on Groover. Ooh, I'm not even going to look at that. So Groover's lost out there, and Fluffy finishes 11th. Well, considering everything that happened in Fluffy's race there, I'm impressed that he didn't lose his head. Because it would have been so easy to lose his head. More impressively was just simply the way that he drove through that race. I've got to say, that's absolutely fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant looking at that. I think the best thing I can say is keep going. One more lap? No, that's it. Oh, it might be one more lap. Oh yeah, we're not got to time yet. He still might do something stupid. No, he's still giving room. Oh yeah, now we're on the final lap. Okay, fucking hell. Oh, he's still in control. He's not chucking it up the inside. That's good. He's covering the inside. SGP's gone wide. Now Fluffy has got a slow exit because he was covering the inside. Could compromise him here. Oh, Rich has tagged the back of him. Now Fluffy could do with getting a slipstream. Oh, he just tagged the door of Bunsel. Dave the Arp's on his arse, and yeah, he's trying to get a slipstream off Mandalorian. Coming a little hot, but oh, he's running wide. Yeah, he's gone too aggressive on the throttle there. Oh, Bunsel coming steaming through. Ooh, oh dear. Fluffy's negotiated it well. I mean, a bit of carnage there. But yeah, Fluffy at the start of this lap was 11th. Now he's 6th. And probably because he'd lost his head a little bit in the left-hander because he was too much on the throttle, ran into the barrier on the right. So it is interesting that a couple of times where it looks like he may have lost his head a little bit, it's had an instant effect. So he's perhaps realised, okay, don't do that, and he's making it work for him. Tyres are hurting and he's pushing hard. Yeah. Push too hard. Oh, don't. He's missed the gear. Should have used automatic. But gets 6th place. Okay. That, I'll say what I was starting to say on the last race. The fact that he didn't lose his head in that is probably the biggest factor. And allowed him to still get through. Brilliant from Fluffy, I've got to say. Couple of errors, but everybody makes them. And when the errors that he made, like I say, were instantly punished by a little loss of time that had him being overtaken by other cars. And you can't get more of an instant notification of what you just did wasn't quite right, and that's when someone's just blitzing past you. So yeah, I've got to say, very impressive from fluffyplanet there. Very impressive. Okay, now while I've been doing this, I have been given permission to also review someone else's footage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this live stream, and then I will fire up a new one for Lewis. So a couple of minutes is when I will be doing a review on Lewis, the new driver. I've not seen a lot of him, a lot of his driving, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I do know that he did stop because of he stopped part way through the race because of I think it was got a problem with his shoulder. So yeah, so I shall fire that up in a couple of minutes' time. But yeah, fluffyplanet, gotta say, fair play. driving brilliantly there. Really driving brilliantly. Now, don't let it go to your head, but keep up with what you've been working on, and your natural speed will will show. Okay, all right. Have a good one, folks, and I'll see you in a few minutes.